welcome. I'm Ijoma Hunyato. Tonight, Department of State Security Service says leader of the Islamic movement of Nigeria, Ibrahim El-Zakzaky, is to be detained to guarantee his safety. Senate steps down bill for the establishment of a Northeast Development Commission with a division on location and funding of the proposed commission. The Nigeria Industries Transparency Initiative indicts the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation for not remitting over $1 billion paid by the Nigeria Liquefied Natural Gas in 2013 into the Federation account. And French police say the man who killed a couple near Paris was responding to calls by the Islamic State to kill infidels.
On business news tonight, Nigeria's inflation soars to a 6-year high in May.
And in sports news, the Tigers keep Olympic hopes alive with a hard-earned win over South Korea in a qualifying tournament.
From Abuja, I'm Gloria Umezioke. Ahmed McCarthy-led caretaker committee of the People's Democratic Party accuses the Ali Modu Sheriff group of working for the ruling All Progressives Congress.
We begin with attempts to secure the release of the leader of the Islamic movement of Nigeria, Ibrahim El-Zakzaky. His counsel, Mr. Festus Okoye, today accused the Department of State Services of breaching his client's fundamental human rights. This follows the DSS claim that the Shiite leader is being detained in his own interest. Counsel to the DSS, Mr. Tijani Ghazali, told journalists that the Shiite leader need not give his consent because it's the duty of the DSS to protect every Nigerian, especially those whom he described as vulnerable. However, hearing in the suit filed by the Shiite leader challenging his arrest and continued detention could not commence due to fresh issues raised by the DSS.
We are using the Fundamental Rights Enforcement Procedure rules. Now, we had filed our own application, insisting that our client should be released based on the fact that his continued detention is a violation of his constitutional right to liberty. Now, the State Security Service has filed a counter affidavit saying that they are holding him in protective custody, and that they are holding him in protective custody with his consent. This is a new issue, and we have to get back to our client for him to respond to these issues. But the truth of the matter is that as at the time we spoke with him, he never said anything to the effect that he's being held in protective custody for his own benefit, because that's what the State Security Service is saying, that they're holding Malam El-Zakzaky in protective custody for his own benefit. So this is a new issue, and the procedural rules requires that if a new issue is raised in a counter affidavit, that we have 5 days within which to respond to those new issues, and that's exactly what we intend to do.
A person needs not request for protective custody if the State Security Service believes that somebody needs a protective custody. They are duty bound to protect every Nigerian. When one is vulnerable, they are duty bound to protect him. And that is what exactly happened. Not that he is in any detention, not that he is in any cell. His counsel are aware of this fact I'm talking about. He's not in detention. He is not in detention, and he is having the best of care.
The Senate has stepped down debate on the report of its committee for the establishment of a Northeast Development Commission. Key deliberations by members of the upper legislative chamber supported the establishment of the commission, but they were divided on its location and funding. Consequently, the Senate President, Dr. Bukola Saraki, constituted a 6-man committee with membership from the 6 geopolitical zones to make recommendations on the issues raised and to report to the Senate in 2 weeks.
It's the situation of the Northeast that led to the initiation of a bill for the establishment of a Northeast Development Commission. The move is seen by many as one that will address the rebuilding of the region. At the Senate proceedings, the Committee on Special Duties presented its report for the establishment of the Northeast Development Commission.
In our view, the objective of the bill is to establish a Northeast Development Commission to be charged with the responsibility of receiving and managing funds from the Federation account or other donor agencies for purposes of the settlement, rehabilitation of displaced persons and the reconstruction of the Northeast Zone.
Most of the senators speak in support of the commission but raised questions on its funding and location.
Strangely, Mr. President, very strangely, it appears there's nothing like funding as far as this bill is concerned.
Some of the lawmakers suggested where the commission should be located.
Since there is lack of confidence for people to try now to go to the epic center to live, we have to resort to living at other places that is more secured, that is more harmonious, that has certain conditions like Bauchi. Bauchi should remain the headquarters.
My argument here is that we are establishing a commission. This commission is not a military commission. It's not a military commission. It doesn't need any presence of the military. Gombe is the center of the Northeast.
After deliberations, the Senate President announced the constitution of the committee to look into the funding and location of the commission.
Because the matter is a national matter, maybe what we should try and do is just take one senator from each of the 6 geopolitical zones to look at this issue of funding and site, and then come back with an attempt on those. If we agree, we'll put a six-member committee, including the 2 co-chairmen, of course. They will be present, that is Poka and Nyako, and then take 4 from the other political zones and headed by someone, and we'll give them a short period of time to come back to us just on these 2 issues.
The committee is expected to come up with recommendations to the Senate in the next 2 weeks.
61 malnourished infants have been hospitalized, while over 690 rescued victims of terror attacks in Borno State were today moved from Bamma to a special care unit in Maiduguri, the state capital. And this was done on the orders of the state governor, Kashim Shetima. The rescued victims, comprising 478 children and 219 adults, are reported to be malnourished after 2 years in captivity at the hands of Boko Haram insurgents. The infants are receiving treatment for symptoms arising from extreme hunger. The victims are among those rescued by the military in continued operations against Boko Haram insurgents who in the last 6 years attacked communities, killing and abducting residents. In addition, the governor supervised the creation of a new camp for other rescued victims of Boko Haram from Marte and Mafa communities. A few days ago, the Nigerian army announced the compulsory retirement of some of its senior officers. Although the army says the officers were retired based on service exigencies, there have been speculations over the real reason for their retirement. To look at the controversy surrounding the retirement of these senior officers, I'm being joined by the head Civil Military Relations, Major General Nicholas Rogers. Thank you so much for joining us on the News at 10.
Thank you very much.
There's been a lot of speculation for a while now about the reason these officers were retired and even the number of officers that were involved. Can you just tell us officially why they were retired?
Thank you very much. Let me state that officially 38 officers were retired. These officers were retired based on the exigencies of duty and issues arising from allegations over misdemeanor, attitude and character, particularly with respect to issues of elections. The Nigerian Army, as a professional army, has remained apolitical. And we don't find a situation where our officers and men become partisan to party politics. It was unfortunate that some of our colleagues crossed the red line and were involved in party politics, being partisan in the last general election of 2015. And a board of inquiry was set up based on the allegations that were raised by various communities where this happened and by the various political parties. And a public sitting was also carried out. And thereafter, the results of the report was forwarded to Army Headquarters for consideration. And it was also subjected to the Department of Military Legal Services for their input before decisions were arrived at this level. Among those retired, also some people were retired on age or rank. Not everybody was retired because of the scandals of election issues. Also, some of officers were also found wanting in the defense scandal, weapons scandal, arms deal scandal, where some officers were involved in the shady deals that affected the whole contract issue. And they were indicted by various committees that were set up to look at those things. And based on those parameters, the military found it was necessary to let those officers go.
Okay,
the issue is that the Nigerian Army has strategically stand by the tenets of democracy to uphold the issues of democracy. And based on these factors, the Nigerian Army will not allow officers who have issues to do with trying to truncate issues of fair and free elections in this country. So based on these issues, the officers were retired.
Okay,
I also said that we also had grievances where some people have complained about the manner in which they were sent away. So for the officers who are aggrieved about the situation, they also have the right to appeal to Mr. President, the Commander-in-Chief, or also take the legal options to redress their issues if they so think so. It's unfortunate that it has to happen at this time, but they are colleagues, but the government has to take very strategic and very strong decisions to handle issues like this so that professionalism can have its way in the military and democracy will also reign in this country.
I was going to come to that. In terms of how they were dismissed and the number of people that were sent away, do you think that process was fair on each of the people who were asked to go? And beyond saying they can go to court if they're unhappy about it, you're obviously one of those who knows about it. Do you think, in your opinion, that they were sent away and they were given a fair hearing correctly?
Please let me make it clear, they were not dismissed. They were retired. There are two different things to be dismissed and be retired. They were retired from the service. And of course, by exigency, the military has the powers based on the Act, Nigerian Act, Cap 20, the laws of Nigeria 2004, to handle such issues. And to a very large extent, due process was followed. Allegations were made, investigations were carried out, and those investigation reports were subjected to legal discourse on them before final decisions were reached.
All right, Head Civil Military Relations, Major General Nicholas Rogers, thanks for joining us on the news at 10 tonight. And in part 2, after the break, the Nigeria Industries Transparency Initiative indicts the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation for not remitting over $1 billion paid by the Nigeria Liquefied Natural Gas in 2013 into the Federation account. To join us again.